My friends, the greatest enemy of success is not failure, it is inconsistency. Many people start with passion, but few endure with discipline. Many dream big, but few walk in daily obedience to their vision. The graveyard is filled with unfinished books, unbuilt businesses, and unreached destinies, all because of inconsistency. Why is it that some people seem unstoppable while others struggle to maintain momentum? It is not about talent. It is not about intelligence. It is about the ability to force yourself to be consistent even when motivation is gone, even when emotions fade, even when results seem distant. The truth is, you don't need motivation, you need a system. You don't need inspiration, you need discipline. Listen carefully, consistency is not a feeling, it is a decision. It is a law. Just as gravity will pull you down every time, consistency will produce results every time. If you plant a seed and water it daily, the tree will grow. If you go to the gym and train consistently, your body will transform. If you study your craft every single day, mastery is inevitable. The problem is not that people don't know what to do. The problem is they do not force themselves to do it repeatedly. Let me tell you something that will change your life. Stop negotiating with yourself. When you make a commitment, your feelings do not get a vote. Your excuses do not get a say. Your doubts do not get a seat at the table. Winners do not wait until they feel like working. They work until they feel like winning. They do not wait for the perfect time. They make time obey them. Every time you break your own word, you weaken your self-respect. Every time you skip that workout, delay that project, or avoid that hard task, you are training yourself to fail. But every time you show up, no matter how small the effort, you are building a foundation that cannot be shaken. So what must you do? First, decide who you want to become and let that vision dictate your actions. Second, create a schedule that eliminates decision fatigue, because what is scheduled gets done. Third, make a covenant with yourself that quitting is not an option. And lastly, surround yourself with people who demand your best, because inconsistency thrives in the presence of the undisciplined, my friends. Success is not an event, it is a lifestyle. And that lifestyle is built on consistency. Do it when you feel like it. Do it when you don't. Do it until it becomes part of your identity. And one day, when others ask how you became so successful, you will smile and say, I simply refused to stop. Consistency is a decision, not a feeling. Success is not about waiting for motivation or inspiration. It's about making a daily choice to stay disciplined and committed to your goals. Stop negotiating with yourself. Don't allow feelings, excuses, or doubts to dictate your actions. Winners take action regardless of their emotions and make the choice to keep moving forward. Small, consistent efforts lead to big results. Success doesn't come from one massive action, but from repeated, disciplined actions over time. Even small efforts, when done consistently, add up to powerful results. Keep your commitments to yourself. Breaking promises to yourself erodes your self-respect. Consistently showing up and following through strengthens your confidence and builds momentum. Create a system to eliminate decision fatigue. Having a set schedule or routine helps remove the need to make constant decisions, ensuring that your actions align with your goals without wasting mental energy. Surround yourself with disciplined people. Accountability and positive influences are key to maintaining consistency. Being around people who expect the best from you will keep you focused and committed to your journey. Consistency is often misunderstood as something that comes naturally or as a result of motivation. But let me tell you the truth. Consistency is not a feeling, it is a decision. It is the act of committing to something regardless of how you feel in the moment. Motivation can fluctuate. One day you feel on top of the world, and the next You're battling doubts and fatigue. However, when you understand that consistency is a choice rather than an emotion, you can maintain your commitment even when your motivation fades. When we rely on motivation to get us through, we are at the mercy of our emotions. Motivation is often a fleeting spark, something that ignites the fire but doesn't always keep it burning. When the spark dies, so does our effort. We then find ourselves caught in a cycle of starts and stops, unable to build any meaningful momentum. But when consistency becomes your anchor, you no longer wait for motivation to act. You act regardless of how you feel. This shift in mindset is the foundation of success. Consistency is not about working hard only when you feel inspired. It is about pushing through the moments when you don't feel like it, when you're tired, when it's inconvenient. It's about showing up every day, putting in the effort, even when progress seems slow or there is power in this kind of commitment because it compounds over time. Just as the ocean wears down rocks with persistent waves, small consistent actions break down the barriers between you and your goals. One of the key reasons people struggle with consistency is that they expect immediate results. They want to see quick progress to justify their efforts. But that's not how consistency works. It's a long-term game. It's about doing what you said you would do day in and day out, regardless of how fast the results come. Over time, however, those small, seemingly insignificant actions will begin to accumulate, and you'll start seeing the fruits of your labor. By deciding to be consistent, you shift your focus from the need for constant motivation to the necessity of routine. You create a structure that does not depend on how you feel in the moment, but on the commitment you've made to your goals. So when motivation fades and doubts creep in, you can still press on because you've decided that consistency is your way forward, not your mood. Consistency then is the silent power that will push you toward your dreams, no matter how you feel along the way. One of the biggest barriers to consistency is the habit of negotiating with yourself. We've all been there. You've committed to a goal. You know what needs to be done, and yet when it's time to take action, you start making excuses. You think, I'll do it tomorrow, or I'm too tired today, but I'll work twice as hard tomorrow. You allow your feelings, your doubts, or your comfort zone to dictate your actions. This is where most people fail because they treat their commitments as negotiable. The truth is, once you allow yourself to negotiate, you've already lost. Winners don't wait for the perfect time to act. They act regardless of how they feel in the moment. They've made a decision that quitting or procrastinating is simply not an option. The key here is to stop giving your feelings any power over your actions. Whether you're tired, unmotivated, or distracted, your decision to show up and do the work should never be based on how you feel at that moment. When you let feelings control your actions, you build a habit of inconsistency. Think about it. If you constantly allow yourself to back out of commitments because of a fleeting emotion, you train yourself to fail. If you let your exhaustion stop you from taking the next step, you've just made it easier for your future self to quit again. On the other hand, when you refuse to negotiate, you begin to build mental toughness. You strengthen your willpower and create a mindset that operates on principles, not emotions. The truth is, consistency requires a mindset shift. It's about creating non-negotiable rules for yourself. Once you make a commitment, there is no room for excuses or self-doubt. There is only the action. No matter how you feel, the work gets done. This doesn't mean you ignore your emotions or your well-being. It means that your goals are more important than the temporary feelings you experience. It's important to recognize that this process is gradual. Initially, it might feel uncomfortable or forced, but as you continue to show up and fulfill your commitments, it becomes a part of who you are. You become someone who doesn't negotiate with themselves. Someone who is reliable, disciplined, and consistent. The more you do this, the less you'll be tempted to make excuses, and the stronger your commitment to your goals will become. Eventually, showing up will no longer feel like a battle. It will feel like a natural part of your life. Success doesn't happen through one big action, but through small, consistent efforts over time. It's easy to think that major breakthroughs come from dramatic, monumental moments. But the truth is that consistency is built on the accumulation of tiny action. Think about any successful individual or project. It wasn't a single event that propelled them forward, but the repeated actions they took every single day, no matter how small they seemed. The power of small, consistent actions is often underestimated. Many people fail because they want immediate results. They invest huge amounts of energy into one effort and expect instant returns. When results don't come as quickly as anticipated, they lose hope, stop working, and start over again with something else. This cycle of starting and stopping leads nowhere. The real secret to success is in showing up day after day, consistently putting in the work, even when you can't yet see the results. Small actions may not seem significant in the short term, but over time, they compound into something far greater. It's like the difference between planting a seed and waiting for it to grow. The seed may not show results immediately, but with regular care, watering, and attention, it will eventually sprout and grow into a tree. This is how success works. By doing small, incremental actions every day, you build momentum and create long-term results. Consistency, in this sense, is about creating a habit of progress. It's the daily effort that transforms a dream into reality. For instance, a writer doesn't complete a book in one day. They write a little bit each day. An athlete doesn't build strength in one intense workout. They train consistently. A business owner doesn't achieve success through one lucky break. They work hard every single day. These small actions, compounded over time, lead to breakthroughs that might seem like they happen suddenly, but in reality, they were the result of relentless consistency. This is why consistency is so important. It turns effort into progress, no matter how slow that progress may seem. When you keep showing up, even when things aren't perfect or when results aren't immediate, you're planting seeds of success. The key is to understand that success isn't an overnight achievement. It's a result of repeated, committed actions that build on one another. And those small actions, when done consistently, will eventually create the life or success you desire. One of the most powerful ways to build consistency is by keeping the promises you make to yourself. Think about this for a moment. The most important person you need to trust is not someone else, but yourself. Every time you break a commitment, you weaken your relationship with yourself. The more you break promises, the easier it becomes to ignore your goals and give in to distractions. But the more you keep your word, the more you build trust with yourself, which strengthens your discipline and commitment. When you commit to something, you are essentially making a promise to yourself that you will follow through. Whether it's waking up early to work on your goals, completing a project by a certain deadline, or sticking to a healthy lifestyle, your word is your bond. The trouble is, many people think that breaking a promise to themselves is not as serious as breaking one to others. But the truth is, every time you fail to keep your word, you chip away at your own self-respect and belief in your ability to succeed. Consistency thrives on the foundation of self-trust. When you prove to yourself that you can be relied upon, you create a cycle of positive reinforcement. For example, if you tell yourself that you're right for 30 minutes every morning and you follow through, you begin to trust that you can achieve that goal again the next day. Over time, this builds a powerful momentum, and each success makes it easier to keep going. The key is that keeping promises to yourself creates a reliable pattern of behavior that aligns with your larger goals. On the other hand, when you break promises to yourself, you create doubt. If you continuously tell yourself that you're going to do something but fail to follow through, you start to believe that you can't trust yourself. This leads to a lack of motivation, feelings of guilt, and ultimately inconsistency. If you want to be successful, you must first prove to yourself that you can be consistent. The best way to do this is by keeping your promises, no matter how small they may seem. Consistency is built on a foundation of integrity with yourself. When you say you're going to do something, do it. Every time you keep a promise, you reinforce the belief that you are capable, reliable, and disciplined. These qualities will support you through the challenges that will inevitably arise, and they will fuel your continued progress. So the next time you make a commitment, remember that the person you need to prove it to is you. And when you do, you discover a level of consistency that leads to lasting success. One of the most effective ways to ensure consistency is by creating a system that eliminates the need to constantly make decisions. Decision fatigue is real. It's the mental exhaustion that comes from having to make multiple choices throughout the day. The more decisions we have to make, the more likely we are to make poor choices or procrastinate. When you have to decide whether or not to take action, you are already wasting valuable energy and time. That's why having a system in place is so crucial to maintaining consistency. A system is simply a structure or routine that takes the decision-making process out of the equation. It's a set of predefined actions that you commit to following whether you feel like it or not. For example, if your goal is to get healthier, your system might be a morning routine that includes stretching, eating a nutritious breakfast, and going for a walk. You don't need to decide each morning whether or not you should exercise or what to eat. You've already established a plan, and your job is to execute it. The same goes for your work or study habits. By creating a set schedule or habit stack, you can eliminate the need for constant decision making, making it easier to stay consistent. Creating a system doesn't mean that every aspect of your life should be rigidly planned, or that there's no room for flexibility. It simply means that you remove the guesswork and the emotional exhaustion of decision making. For example, if you know that every day at 8 a.m. you'll sit down to work on your most important task for the day, you no longer have to waste time deciding what to do first or whether you should do it at all. The system becomes your guide, and all you have to do is follow it. The beauty of a system is that it minimizes resistance. Once you have a routine in place, your brain doesn't have to fight with itself over whether to take action. It's already been decided. This leads to fewer distractions, increased focus, and ultimately better consistency. The more you can automate or schedule your day, the more you free yourself from the burden of decision fatigue and open up the mental energy required for success. Systems also help you to track progress and measure results more effectively. When you have a set structure, you can look back and see how much progress you've made. This builds motivation and encourages you to keep going. The key is to create a system that aligns with your goals and that you can stick to long term. Once you have that structure, consistency will follow more naturally. One of the most powerful ways to maintain consistency is by surrounding yourself with people who expect your best. Human beings are social creatures, and we are deeply influenced by the people around us. Whether we acknowledge it or not, our environment plays a significant role in shaping our behavior, work ethic, and mindset. If you want to develop consistency, it's essential to create a support network that not only encourages you, but also holds you accountable to your commitments. Being around disciplined, goal-oriented individuals who take their work seriously can inspire you to do the same. Their focus and dedication will naturally rub off on you, and you'll find yourself stepping up your game. When you are surrounded by people who strive for excellence, you begin to expect more from yourself. You see their consistency in action and realize that success isn't a fluke, it's a product of deliberate, sustained effort. This environment of mutual growth and accountability is one of the most effective ways to reinforce your own consistency. On the other hand, if you spend your time with people who are complacent or constantly make excuses, their behavior can have the opposite effect. You'll start to see their lack of drive as acceptable, and over time, you may start making excuses for yourself as well. If you want to stay consistent, you need to avoid toxic environments that hinder your progress. Surrounding yourself with people who tolerate mediocrity can unconsciously pull you into their habits, and you'll find yourself making excuses instead of taking action. Accountability is key to consistency. Having someone who holds you to your word, who checks in on your progress, and who is genuinely interested in your success can make all the difference. This could be a mentor, a colleague, or even a friend who shares similar goals. When you know that someone is going to ask about your progress, you are much more likely to stay on track. Knowing that you're not working in isolation creates a sense of responsibility, and that responsibility pushes you to be consistent even when you feel like slacking off. Furthermore, being in the right company can help you overcome the inevitable obstacles that arise on your journey. When you encounter challenges or moments of doubt, the right people can lift you up, provide advice, and remind you of your potential. Their encouragement will give you the strength to push through difficult times and continue to show up day after day. In short, consistency is not just about individual effort. It's about the environment you create around yourself. Surrounding yourself with people who demand your best and who are themselves committed to growth will push you toward excellence and reinforce your own consistency. In conclusion, consistency is not something that happens by chance or motivation. It is a deliberate decision and a habit that can be cultivated through discipline, self-trust, and structure. The key is understanding that success comes not from sporadic bursts of effort, but from the accumulation of small, consistent actions over time. Stop negotiating with yourself and commit to your goals, regardless of how you feel in the moment. Keep the promises you make to yourself, for this is how you build trust and confidence in your ability to succeed. Create systems that simplify your journey, removing the mental fatigue of constant decision making and allowing you to stay on track with minimal resistance. And most importantly, surround yourself with people who will hold you accountable and demand your best. The right environment is crucial, as it will keep you motivated and consistent even when the road gets tough. Success is not a destination reached by one big effort. It is a result of small, consistent actions taken each day. Make consistency your way of life, and you will find that your efforts will compound, leading you toward your goals and the success you desire. Ultimately, consistency is the silent force that will propel you forward when everything else seems uncertain. So embrace it, nurture it, and let it guide you to greatness.